All right. What's going on, everybody? Hope everybody's having a wonderful evening. Or if you're probably catching this in the morning, hope you're having a wonderful start to your day. No SCO zone in the house. Thank you. Good to see you. Thank you for tuning in this late. But man, it's been a wild day. I was glad I was able to get a video posted that I pre recorded Sunday night. Posted earlier this morning because, man, I probably logged about a third of the hours that I'm contracted for the week with this gig that I got right now today. So it's been a long day, but I really wanted to get on after I finished up some work just a little bit ago and get on here and talk about the buffs. As much as I do want to talk about aliens, we're probably due for a part two of that at some point in the future with how the Big 12 will handle that. I can't help but be more and more excited each day about this team. Every time I'm watching the well-off videos, and particularly today, like I don't know. I didn't see if there was a press conference today with Coach Prime. I listened to one where Coach Flea was talking about the running backs, but just off of what I saw today from the well-off practice, I don't know if this was the best practice they had, but I really appreciated the intensity in seeing that. Particularly, there was a little scuffle. I believe it was between Derek McClendon and Reggie Young at the end of the play. And maybe, no SCO zone, you can help answer this question for me. But why am I seeing guys in yellow jerseys get hit? Like, they're not full on hits, but when that scuffle was happening, I assume that was Alt McCaskill. He kind of got pushed down to the ground well out of bounds. And I don't think that started a scuffle, but there was this, scuffle with the offensive and defensive line, and I love to see that. I love to see the intensity. And as these clips are being posted all over social media every day, we're seeing this team be discussed, whether that is with skepticism or with hype every day. Um, I just can't help but appreciate, man, that this is all happening. That Shador Sanders really is our quarterback. That we have guys like Travis Hunter here. That I mean, uh, legendary, legendary. I would not be surprised if those two guys are numbers that are retired here in Boulder at some point, right? A guy like Cormani McLean coming in here as a true freshman, and from what I see, I think he looks the part. And this is a special team, and I think that we can kind of get caught up in maybe wanting all of the results too fast. I feel like I'm already starting to see some of that on social media with guys like, man, like, come on. Like, we need to be recruiting faster. We need to be having this and that. We need more budgets for Coach Prime and all that. I agree. We do have some work as an alumni base program, an institution to get him more financial help and more NIL support, for these athletes coming in. But we're not going to have everything overnight, and I think we still need to be patient with this build. But I can't help but finding myself every day just adding adding wins to my prediction. And maybe that's just part of being a fan, right? I'll stop right here. No SCO zone. They're testing some yellow jerseys out. Alton McCaskill is cleared, but mentally he's still trying to get back. Yeah, yeah, definitely. And as I assume, with Jamal Murray, it took him a while to get back to feeling that way mentally as well. So that's good to know that you can hit him. He's still building his way back. So that's awesome to know. But man, we're only going to get one of these first seasons, and I mean, it's only up from here. And I mean, we just cannot overlook the fact that we got somebody like Shador Sanders here at quarterback. I saw that Uncle Neely was saying how through the first 4 days of camp, he had 22 touchdowns and zero interceptions or whatnot. And I mean, I know it's just practice, but you turn on the film. That was one thing that I noticed today when I'm watching the well eye videos. I mean, his and really in all the other practices, it's his ball placement, man. It's just it's on point. He is threading the needle, and that's kind of stuff that translates over to game day. And I mean, I just don't know how defenses are going to cover this team. I mean, going through the schedule, the teams that might be able to cause CU and Shador some problems. I mean, I can name on one hand, probably TCU in some ways because it's going to be week one. But then after that, Oregon, we're going to have to face a very stout Oregon pass rush and secondary with Nico Reed on there, obviously. But it seems like our offense has gotten the best of him. If you look at spring ball and all that, but as we know, defense is not just one person. It's 11 people. And I think USC's defense will be improved, but I'm still keeping my expectations. I feel like pretty level-headed when it comes to them. They're the type of program that always seems to bring in the five-star talent, kind of like Texas, but is never able to live up to expectation. I would say that last year, though, under Lincoln Riley, they did live up to expectation because when you're getting double-digit wins, when you're on the brink of the college football playoff, when you make the conference title game for any program, I don't care who you had, going into the year prior, you're able to put out a year like that as your first year under a new regime. I think that's really impressive. And they're bringing a lot of guys back that surely are going to benefit in the second year of a system, even if it was kind of a mess on the defensive side this past year. So you got them. So that's like what, three teams. You got Utah. I mean, their defense is really going to be stout. And then I'm trying to think. Uh, Oregon State, UCLA, maybe. So that's like, I mean, maybe those defenses might be able to give us a little bit of problems, but probably the one out of all of that is that I'm most worried about. Well, the two would be Oregon as well as Utah. Um, I, I mean, I would not be surprised even against those defenses with how high I feel like I am on Shador if he were to, carve up those carve up those defenses as well. But I think he's the real deal. Um, I'm just so excited to see him play here in less than a month, and it's so surreal to me that CU has a quarterback of his talent level, and hopefully we get him here for 2 seasons here in Boulder. Now, the other thing that I've seen as we've had some of this practice tape put on social media and all that is I'm still seeing the same. I'm still seeing the same narratives that we saw in the spring about how this team is small. Does that crack any of y'all up? Because it is still cracking me up. I'm bookmarking a lot of those tweets, and with the Travis Hunter highlights, you've seen him make some pretty impressive plays, right? And I see fans from, like, it might have been an Oregon State fan saying, "Oh, yeah, well, he's supposed to be doing this against JV guys." Oh my god, give me a break. This guy was rated at 100 coming out of high school. I mean, how often do you see that? And this guy's supposed to make everybody else look like a JV player around him. And he's doing it on both the offense and the defense. It seemed like today, at least from the clips that Bucky showed, he's getting a little bit more of the work on the offense. So I love to see that. But man, I think it's funny. I think the haters of this program, of Coach Prime, of Shador, a lot of the guys that we got on the team, they're kind of running out of different narratives to run with. And so I mean, I don't know what to tell you. This is a completely different roster. It's a much bigger roster from the spring practice times. It's a much larger roster from the spring game. I mean, it's just basic math, and and they look that way on the camera, in my opinion. I don't know what y'all think. Maybe I'm crazy, but I feel like there's just a lot of bullshit being put out there right now, and I think it's funny, But at the end of the day, as a Colorado fan, it it's great seeing people talk shit about us on Twitter. Because no one's cared about us enough to ever do that prior to this, and unless they were just making fun of us from being awful. And I think a lot of people are going to be humbled. I think a lot of people are going to eat their crow, or are going to be due to eat their crow, because guys like Travis Hunter, um, Xavier Weaver. I'm still huge on Javon Antonio, and I think Shador Sanders, man. Like, if I just try to imagine who if he had transferred after this year to Alabama, because who the hell is the Alabama quarterback right now? I can't even tell you. What is he, a transfer from Notre Dame? Is he a transfer from somewhere? But imagine if Shador had transferred into uh, Alabama this year. You don't think that people are talking about him as a possible Heisman candidate? No, granted, his supporting cast would be much better. We're getting there. We're getting there. Um, I think we'll be within striking distance of Alabama here, you know, pretty closely. So we'll just have to see. But I just think it's funny. None of our wide receivers were put on the Blitnikov watch list. I saw that today, and man, like, if this team is just looking for more and more ammo, more and more chips, to add to the shoulder. I mean, they got plenty of it. And what's coming out here in this fall camp, I love to see it. And oh, let me check out some of the comments here too. No, Scozone. Something overlooked is the offense has largely been together since the spring, and some since JSU. The defense is almost completely new. Man, yeah, you bring up a wonderful point. It's going to take this defense a little bit. And it is so nice that Shador has that chemistry already built in with somebody like Travis Hunter or Jimmy Horn. We do have some new running backs out here, but I mean, we're talking about Hankerson, and both Dylan Edwards was here in the spring. And in my opinion, this is really overlooked. The entire starting offensive line, in my opinion, was here in the spring. I think all those guys are going to start. I know some people are expecting that second guard that came in here from Kent State, that for some reason has slipped my name. I got the roster open, so let me take a look if I can find his name very quickly. And I can't. But Landon Beebe, I think he's going to start, man. I think he's a dog. And along with Tyler Brown, along with Tank. I mean, you saw Tank stand right up next to Coach Prime today at 6'10". And Adam Munster Tiger was talking with one of the other co-hosts that he has on his show pretty often, that is coached offensive line, I believe. And I can't remember his name right now. Why can't I? But he's a line guy. He's a defensive and offensive line guy. I believe he's done some scouting as well. And he just talked about how none of these offensive line coaches knew what to do or knew how to develop any of this talent. And he thinks Jared Christian Lichtenhan is getting coached for the first time. And I mean, he's been here since 2020. And I think you're really going to see him. Buff Stampede ranked him as a top 10 player for the Buffs going into this year. That's huge, especially with all the talent that we brought in. You're going to see somebody like Jared Christian Lichtenhan really put himself on the map, because now he knows how to use that size, that 6'10" frame. I'm really excited for the offensive line. But Landon Beebe, we're I think we're going to see him as that starter. Um, so let me go back to the comments. 5 Season Sports, man, I appreciate you. It's good to see you. Thank you again for the help with the intro video. Really adds a lot of really adds a lot of professionalism, I guess. I'm not trying to be a pro with this, but I try to have fun with it and at least give you guys a good product. And I think the intro video is enhancing that. I'm gonna get my friend Josh Bonet to make some custom music for the channel. So he's a music producer that puts out like music that he licenses out to like movies and shows and stuff like that. So I'm gonna get a song or two made by him, which will be a lot of fun to put on this channel, uh, and have on for certain shows, intros and outros and all that. It'll be nice. So thank you for your help with that. Y'all go subscribe to Vibe Season now. Damon Buckner. Who is Buckner? You got to help me out with this because, I mean, it's late, but I can't remember. I don't think there's a guy on this roster named Buckner. You got to help me out, my man. BB looks great. Absolutely. The guy's a dog. And I mean, you go back to his JUCO tape. I mean, that guy's got that dog mentality. I love it. Oh, Damon, another comment. Once CU has a good year, everything will take care of itself. Absolutely. Like we just can't be handed everything at once, right? we gotta earn some of this. Although, I mean, we haven't done anything to deserve the recruiting class, the coaching staff that we have now, other than being long suffering, right? But credit to Rick George. There's a guy that I follow on Twitter. He's awesome. I like him a lot, but I saw one of his tweets and it was criticizing Rich George. He tagged him. He was saying something along the lines of, "If Coach Prime fails, it's because of you." And he needs more money for the budget and all that. And I mean, I understand that. Like, we do have ways to go in getting Coach Prime what he needs, but finally, after years and years of pressure from the fans, from the alumni, from the students, Rick George, he's been getting the job done. And we'll just have to see what he does this next year to build off of this. Yeah, did you see the running back news? I was slightly surprised. Yeah, no SCO zone. This was something else I wanted to comment on. I listened to Coach Flea's press conference while I was working, so I might have missed some details. Y'all can help me out with this. And he mentioned his top 4 running backs were Alton McCaskill, then Smoke, then Dylan Edwards, and then Hankerson, which I mean is a solid 4. And then I think he might have mentioned Offerdahl after that. Of course, one guy that I'm really excited about to be here, coming over from Jackson State, is sy'veon Wilkerson. I wonder if it's something like Tyler Brown, which maybe he's been out sick or, has some sort of injury or something like that, because I haven't gone through and watched super attentively to see if sy'veon's out there, but I can't remember seeing him out there. Number 36, I believe. If you're looking for him. So y'all let me know if you've seen him out there in practice. But my guess is that he wasn't listed in there, probably because Coach Flea is running with those guys right now if he's out or sick or having to be away for some reason. I don't know. I'm not to be Tyler Buckner, Alabama quarterback. Thank you, Damon. I appreciate you, man. But yeah, like I've seen this happen on some of the DNVR lives or whatever, or on Twitter, of just, hey, we haven't seen this person. We haven't seen Tyler Brown. Where is he? Did something happen? And maybe we're a little bit nervous because of Zach Blackwood, leaving the team last week. But I'm not anybody to freak out. I think sy'veon Wilkerson is one of our best backs. And with that chemistry with Shador, I mean, I'm pretty sure he's going to play. So I'm not too worried about him right now. But was I surprised to hear that from Coach Flea? Absolutely. But maybe, like I said, he was just thinking of the guys that have been on the field that he's been running with. Marcus, bringing up a good question. Are you worried about the edge rushers? Man, it's really tough for me to uh, judge the offensive line and the defensive line right now in practice, especially from what we see. I mean, I I really wish college had a preseason game, like maybe just one, so we can judge some of this talent, or even in the spring, go play another team. But I like the idea of the 7-on-7 tournament, the Big 12 7-on-7 spring ball tournament done in Miami. Let's just do it. Brett Yormark, come on now, man. I got all these ideas to help the conference. You got to talk to David Talks Buffs. My DMs are open, but I digress. We're just going to have to see. Derek McClendon and Jordan Dominic, I'm very high on, and I'm expecting them to produce. But outside of that, I mean, I don't really know. I've seen that Arden Walker's gotten some good coverage on the well off videos, and I think he was mentioned by one of the coaches last week and one of the pressers. But I mean, Arden Walker seems like he's having a good camp. But with Savell Smalls, he does look big, so we'll just have to see. But right now, um, it's hard for me to judge on where this edge rush group is at, and therefore I am not worried yet, if that makes sense. Now, if we come out against TCU and man, is it Chandler Morris, their starting quarterback? We're giving him all day to throw. Yeah, I'm gonna be worried and I'm gonna be pissed. But I mean, Nick Williams and Sal Sunseri seem like they have a very good grasp on what they're doing compared to the pass rushing coaches that we have had in the past, the recent past. And so I think I'm entering this year with an optimistic viewpoint of that room right now compared to where it's been at. Oh, no SCO zone. Okay, yes, Offerdahl was next up. Talked about sy'veon, but mentioned Charlie over him. Holy moly! See, I didn't catch that, and that's what I get for doing work while I'm trying to also do this job. But it's not really a job, I guess. But you know what I'm saying. I'm trying to give you all the best info. But I still got high hopes for sy'veon as well. I think he's a damn good running back. He can do just about every little thing that you need, pretty versatile. He can block. Uh, I mean, I think he's a good blocker in pass protection. Can receive a little bit. He can get you those tough yards inside, and he's got that chemistry. He's already proven that he's got the ability to be trusted, and that is something at the running back position. You definitely need to have trust. And I know that Dylan Edwards is a dynamic athlete that nobody in our running back room is quite like him, right? But maybe this is just my personal philosophy, and maybe this is why I'm not a football coach. But I would tend to want to start the season out with the guys that I have the most trust in terms of them understanding their role, and I can depend on them to block. I can depend on them to run the ball and not fumble, right? Maybe that's just me. Man, Tajay McCoy. Yeah, this guy's a beast. And I believe it was Brian Howell mentioned him as his most underrated high school recruit coming in this year. And yeah, really impressive kid from Oklahoma, and he's gonna. I think he might play in a few different spots on the defensive line or in the edge room. And again, with how kind of up in the air this edge rotation is after those first two guys, Jordan Dominic and Derek McClendon, I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised if he finds himself in the rotation along with, I mean, Savell. Man, like that was a big deal seeing him on fourth team all conference. I forget which publication put him as fourth team edge, but that speaks volumes to how they see him in terms of his potential, and it speaks volume to that publication's belief in the coaching staff to get him to where he needs to be, because coming in there as a 5-star recruit to Washington, uh, big time athlete, big time upside, but that's quite rich to put a guy as fourth team all conference when he doesn't have a career sack yet in college. So I view that as a very positive sign for Savell Smalls to see him mentioned in there. I think that's great. Hawkins, good to see you. Thank you for tuning in. One of my day ones. I really appreciate you, man. And anybody watching, this is like a AMA. Ask me anything. So if you got a question for me, whether it's related to the Buffs or not, as long as it's not too crazy. I mean, but I'm here talking about aliens on Sunday. Throw it in there. I'll answer it. Marcus, how quick will the hook be on the left tackle if Shador is sacked? Teams will be gunning for 22. Yeah, I think it depends on what's happening leading to these sacks. If it is his fault on missing a certain alignment, and if that's not corrected, then I mean, I don't think Bill O'Boyle or Coach Prime, neither of those guys seem like they have um, really any patience for like not doing your job correctly. Of course, like penalties happen, mistakes happen, stuff like that, but you aim for perfection. And I mean, giving up one sack is a thing, but if you're clearly struggling, and even if it's not, even if you're not giving up sacks, but you're giving up, that edge, you're getting beat often. You know, I wouldn't. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised with anybody on this team to see them get pulled for somebody else. If they're out there consistently struggling on a drive or multiple drives. But I think too with the offensive line specifically, and why I'm so, it's just like another reason of why I'm so confident, I guess, that the starting group from the spring will still be the starting group going into the year, is just because you got to develop that chemistry all together. And maybe there's a little bit more patience for offensive line as they get things together as a unit. Maybe it's more looked as a unit as a unit rather than just an individual. But I think the same thing, I saw people when Shador first transferred here, people asking me these questions about how, um, is Coach Prime going to bench Shador if there's another quarterback better on the Buffs? One really stupid question, because Shador is the best quarterback we might have had at this school in our existence already. If it's not him, it might have been Cordell Stewart. I mean, that's really it. But I don't think Coach Prime would hesitate to do that. But Shador's earned it. He's more than talented. Hawkins, I am a woman. No harm, no foul, though. Oh, man, I feel so bad. I apologize. I will do better moving forward. I will remember. Thank you for letting me know. Oh, man, I love it. Now, I think there was something else regarding today that I did want to mention, but I might have already lost it. Let me go through the roster and see if reading through this sparks what I was going to talk about. We will have to see. It was great seeing Vito Tisdale's red hair today. That was awesome. I hope he keeps that. Shiloh Sanders, I mean, looking the part. I think he'll definitely be one of these starting safeties. And man, this safety group, it's going to be hard, man, to like keep these guys off the field. I feel like it's loaded. I can't wait to see Roderick Ward, see how he does out there. He's a guy that I'm really excited about, coming up from the FCS level at Southern Utah, all conference caliber safety, big time guy. Oh, that offensive guard I was talking about, Jack Bailey. I think Landon Beebe's going to beat him out, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Oh, I remember what I was going to talk about now. Man, Bishop Thomas, box office. Bishop Thomas, I love that man. I love his personality. I love how confident he is. I love how fun he has on the practice field. And he just comes in with that confidence, that swagger that he's going to dominate. And it seems like the people that I've been able to watch practice and report, they're saying the same things. Like, this guy is the real deal. And I'm very excited to have him as one of David Talks Buff's honorary my guys, because I mean, this man's going to put on a show just like Warren Sapp. I'm excited for him a lot, and that leads me to the other thing that I was going to say was that it cracks me up seeing the Twitter highlight of Shiloh kind of setting the edge, knocking that offensive lineman or tight end off his feet. And people are saying, well, this looks like a high school practice. These guys aren't even going full speed, or all these guys are small. I mean, it, this thing is just ridiculous. They're going to look at any little thing to just hate on. But they're saying it looks like a high school practice, guy standing around. Well, every practice that I've ever watched or been to, I mean, you got your second and third teams, or whatever team isn't on the field, those string guys standing off to the sideline. The special teams guys are off to what the hell do you expect? Do you just want 50 on 50? Do you want 60 on 60? Is that what you want on the field? I mean, so much of this is just it's just foolishness. It's it's so dumb, but entertaining nonetheless. Did you see players say Trevor Woods is the leader of safeties? Man, I love to see that. No, I have not. And man, that gets me fired up because I think a lot of people were saying how Trevor Woods wasn't a quality player after Coach Prime was brought in and we started seeing some of the transfers come in. A lot of people were saying how this kid couldn't play and he was only good because, or he was only productive because, he was by default the starter. But and I've kind of wavered back and forth whether I think that he would be a starting safety along with Shiloh. And I guess I still don't really know, but him emerging as a leader is going to keep him on the field too. I mean, that man is stout and run support. Like, him and Shiloh are both sure tacklers, and it it feels really good to see a few of these holdovers that are left really getting the love and recognition that they deserve. Like Jared Christian Lichtenhan, Trevor Woods, those guys. Um, I just love to see it. So, whether he's starting or not, that's not the biggest deal for me. I think he's going to be on the field regardless. And I don't, I can't remember who was ragging on Trevor Woods kind of after we started bringing in some of these players, but it you just can't do it. This roster still had some players that could play on this team from last year, and it's so casual to say that all of them couldn't play. I mean, 10% of them could. I mean, come on, we look at USF last year, and they won 1-2 games. You could easily say that all their players were trash, but if you actually watch the games, if you watch the highlights, you could see that they had two really star receivers that were held back from a subpar offense, a subpar quarterback, and many more aspects. And those wide receivers are Jimmy Horn and Xavier Weaver, and they're going to come in here and surprise a lot of these casuals, because a lot of people that say they understand what's going on with this program are still predicting, you know, 3 wins and for us to get blown out by 40 against the top opponents that we're going at. The only guys that they can name on this roster are Travis Hunter and Shador Sanders and Shiloh Sanders. I guarantee you that. They have no idea who else this program has brought in. They have no idea. They should know who Alt McCaskill is. They should know Northwestern State, our version of Brandon Marshall, our Megatron, freaking Javon Antonio. Man, that guy's got enough speed to really dominate at this level. Yeah, I'm going to take a look at some of the comments. Gearhead, dude, before I answer your comment, Your comment yesterday or on Sunday, I'm so sorry I missed it, about the prairie dogs. David talks to prairie dogs. I laughed at that so hard. I wanted to give you credit for that. Hawkins, did Coach Prime start the trend of filming practices on the daily? I believe he did. I mean, he probably got some inspiration from Hard Knocks and some of those shows that they've done, or Last Chance U. But maybe he was doing this before Last Chance U. I don't know, but it's way different than those types of documentary series, right? I mean, this is totally different. It's way more less produced. I like how authentic it is. Bucky does a great job of cutting it up. Darius too. I like how they do things. Trevor was also shouted out on DNVR as a dog by Neely and RK. Man, I didn't see that either, but man, that's so validating. And he's a guy that's, yeah, he's deserved better than what he's gotten here until this year. And now it's gonna feel great to see him get some real success out here. No Sco Zone, take your victory lap. Let's go, man. I told people, even some bust careers, Trevor was going to get some run. Hating on a guy because something other than football. Number one tackler in the Pac 12, number two in FBS. Yes, I knew he had racked up a ton of tackles last year, but I could not remember off the top of my head. But man, the guy knows how to wrap up, and he's got some ball hawking skills too. So it's great. It's great. He's a guy that he might make it as one of my guys. I still got 2 spots left. So it's still up in the air on who I'm going to select. Right now I got Javon Antonio, Carter Stoutmeyer, and Bishop Thomas. And I'm wanting to get a few other position groups. But I will say this is kind of a tangent. I think my favorite player going into this year is Shador Sanders. Like, some of my favorite years as a football fan, as a Broncos fan, was obviously when Peyton Manning was here, and watching those games every Sunday. Is just seeing him carve up and dissect those defenses every week, change those plays at the line, audible, get on guys' asses when they weren't doing the right thing. Like, it was poetry in motion. It was beautiful. And as a Buffs fan, as a Broncos fan, haven't experienced that quarterback play since anything like that level. So seeing NFL caliber quarterback play here at CU going into this year, man, it's going to be a hell of a treat. I love it. Okay, Marcus, your guess how many Buffs are playing on Sundays in 2024? All right, let me go over the roster. And I'm just going to go through and name people that stick out to me that I think in 2024 will be on an NFL roster. All right, we'll see how this goes, because I do think Shador Sanders is going to come back for his senior year, so I'm not going to put him on there. I wouldn't be surprised if Jimmy Horn left, though, because it's a big deal when wide receivers come out their junior year. And I mean, I think if he puts up over 1,000 yards, I think he's gone, which I think he will do. But good thing we're loading up on a ton of wide receivers, right? Cavassier Smoke, you'll see on an NFL roster. I don't know if he will be drafted, but I think you'll see him get picked up, especially with the running backs in the NFL. Their value is they got to do something to fix that. But yeah, a lot of these running backs, even though if they're productive, they still can be undrafted guys, right? So give me 2 guys there. Making my way down, Xavier Weaver. That would be 3. He's a graduate transfer. I can't remember off the top of my mind if he has 1 or 2 years of eligibility left, so I might be slightly wrong on that. But right now, my list is at 3. Kind of a toss-up. I think Levanta Bentley could be there in the NFL as well, so on the defensive side at linebacker. So that's 4. Let's see what else we got. Hmm. Yeah, like maybe the better question is guys that would be drafted because I mean I do think a lot of the graduate transfers that they're bringing in, like I think they are NFL caliber players. I just don't know if you'll see them all get drafted, right? But let me go through here. Jordan Dominic, I think he gets drafted. That would be 5. I don't know if you'll see like a lot of juniors come out of here. Possibly somebody like Leonard Payne, 6. Let me see. Let me see who else we got. And Shane Cokes, but he's got 2 years too, I believe. I don't think he has to be gone after this year. Or Chance Main. So probably, if you're setting a number, if you're talking about guys who get drafted, maybe it's like 4 to 6 guys. But I think in 2025, you'll see a lot more guys get drafted from this team. Totally. Because Alt McCaskill, well, oh, that's another thing that I should bring up. Alt McCaskill could declare as well. So maybe it would be more like 5 to 7 or 8 guys that would be drafted. Because as a running back, yeah, you got to get out of there. And this is his 3rd year removed from high school. So there's my list for you. No, Scozone 2 looks so good. This year will be his emergence. It will be legendary. I predict 2 to break some school records. Yeah. Yeah. I'm starting to think of maybe if he might hit that 4,000 yard mark with like over 30 touchdowns. Like that would just be incredible if he's able to do that. Again, I mean, to break the school record, I think he's only got to throw for like 3,200 yards. So, I mean, that's nothing. Like he should eclipse that. And I think the record's like 26 or 28 touchdowns thrown or total. He'll get there, no doubt. Yeah, man. Oh, Zulu's good to see you too, man. Yeah, y'all are naming all these guys. Shiloh, Javon Antonio. Yeah, Bill Carroll, who's coming on my show tomorrow. Link in the description. He thinks that Shiloh's going to leave after this year, but I think again this whole Sanders thing, it's a whole family thing. Like why would you just want to cut it short? That's just my thing. And I know you risk injury and all that if you can get drafted, but I think both Shiloh and Shador help their draft stock coming back for their 2nd year here. Javon Antonio, that's right. Is he a graduate transfer? I forget. Let me go here. Yeah, graduate transfer. So yeah, he's definitely a guy that profiles as a NFL caliber wide receiver, and even with his physical measurements, even if he doesn't have the most productive year here, he will be on an NFL practice squad, no doubt. That's at the worst. That's how I feel about it. That's at the worst. And yeah, you're right. 40 touchdowns last year, 30 as a true freshman. Level up in competition, but at the end of the day, when you're elite, he should have been carving defenses up at the FCS level, and that's exactly what he was doing. Yeah, Gearhead, you hit it right on the money. Most of our good quarterbacks or best quarterbacks were guys that ran the option. They weren't prototypical NFL style passing quarterbacks. So, I mean, that's why, yeah, we have Cepho and maybe Montez are kind of up there, and Cody Hawkins. They're all kind of up there as like the best quarterback statistically for CU, which I think is pretty funny. Oh man, Cody Hawkins, little 5'9" guy running out there. Okay. Shiloh has 2 years of eligibility. He also has I believe he had a red shirt from an injury, maybe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but no, it was he got that extra year of eligibility because of he came in school during the pandemic in 2020. So everybody was given an extra year. So yeah, he has 2 years even though he's a graduate transfer. So that's why, I mean, stick here with Shador, stick here with the family. Well, I mean, why would you just want to cut this family experience short, right? I think it's really cool. Yeah, COVID, that's right. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you for tuning in. I'll give you guys like another question or another minute or two um, for your questions. Otherwise, I might go ahead and wrap this up and get some shut eye. But man, just another great day to be a Buff, man. Like seeing all this practice footage, seeing the well off stuff, like seeing what awards were or watch lists this team's been put on, seeing which ones they're getting. I don't know. They're just getting skipped on from. I think it's all really interesting, and we got our work cut out for us going in the Big 12. But I'm really confident that this team can be hella competitive, not only this year, but competing for a conference title in the Big 12 first year going into it. Obviously, we got our Pac-12 back-to-back champions, the Utah Utes, coming over, but I mean, we'll see what they do at quarterback with Cam Rising finally having to leave here after like 15 years, and we'll see how that goes. But a lot of solid teams in the Big 12. There are no cakewalks. They don't have a Cal. They don't have a Stanford. They don't have the Buffs for the last 15, 20 years. There's nobody in that conference that's going to be a cakewalk. Um, and anything can happen. That's why you've seen like teams like, Texas. I mean, a lot of people don't realize how close they were to the college football playoff, but in the Big 12, it's kind of like that saying with the NFL, every given Sunday or any given Sunday. Same thing for the Big 12. I mean, any given Saturday, any upset can happen because there is a quality and depth to that conference. But I mean, this is only going to help recruiting. And maybe I do a show here on recruiting, just seeing kind of where we're at right now. I ain't worried. We're going to play that. We're going to play that transfer portal game again. This coaching staff's going to eat, and I just hope that the transfer portal is something that we continue to prioritize because we got the scouts. It was also really cool hearing about Corey Phillips, seeing him talk about how psychologically with player development, how they give the coaches all the info on the players, all the position coaches on like what's going on in their life, how to motivate them, how to not communicate, or like what's negative communication that's not going to help, what is positive communication that helps build them up to motivate them, all of that. Know the psyche of every single guy. And with Corey Phillips here, I mean, man, I can't wait to see how this coaching staff develops these guys. But on top of that, where I'm getting at with this is just how they take the guys that come here from the transfer portal and they make them hit that next level. They get that next gear because they've never gotten the support before that this coaching staff and program has given them. I mean, you even see it with the kitchen, man. Like that cannot be understated. Did you see what Dylan Edwards was eating on Saturday compared to what the guys at Michigan were eating? The University of Michigan, one of the blue blood programs in college football, eating food like like at the nasty, summer camps I went to as a kid, man. Like that shit was disgusting. It looked like it was just microwaved, like chicken fingers, just disgusting stuff. And then you see Dylan Edwards eating veggies, mashed potatoes, and steaks. Um, you know, yes, there is a lot that this program can still do to get to being college football elite, but we cannot overlook and take for granted the steps that we have taken, right? I mean, come on, man. I mean, come on. I'm just gonna start getting really pissed if people are gonna start getting really fucking entitled about what isn't happening, because More than likely, the people that are complaining weren't here for the dog shit years, and they weren't here at this point last year. And you can't change an entire organization overnight or in one year. But this institution has been pretty damn close to doing that. you know, that's how I feel about it. Yeah, Corey Phillips, man, he's a beast. I love that guy. I could listen to him talk all day. I mean, man, isn't that just embarrassing? I mean, you got that Big Ten deal. You got what? You're going to be bringing in like 70, $80 million every year in that TV revenue. And you can't have a real kitchen where these boys are getting 5-star meals. Inexcusable. In Michigan's defense, the kid probably chose that. Probably. But, you know, I just can't imagine if he had better choices if he'd actually been choosing that. I'm going with that steak every single time. Chicken strips, and that didn't even look like it was breaded in the kitchen, like on campus. Let's be real now. That looked like it came frozen. You can't be having your football players eat that. You got to be putting the good fuel in. It's why it always blows my mind when people got these SUVs with turbo and they're putting unleaded into it. Man, come on. I know you save a few cents and you save a few dollars at the pump, but you're really taking miles and taking life off those turbo engines, not putting in the premium. You got to put the premium gas in those turbo engines. You wonder why some of those cars, man, that uh, they ain't worth nothing at like 120,000 miles. Whereas you see like some people that are putting in the premium gas and taking care of it, man, you can get that car to go over 250,000 miles, you know? And that's true, man. Some kids are picky and some kids don't grow up with a lot of options. That's true. So maybe that's a totally unfair or partially unfair criticism on my part for the whole program. Maybe it's just the choice one player wanted to make, but nonetheless, the comparison was hilarious. So, man, no sco zone. Hawkins, everybody who's been tuning in, Gearhead, Zulus, who else? Marcus, who else left a comment here? Damon, NLMB. I appreciate. Oh, and Vibe Season Sports. How could I forget you, man? Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for contributing to the discussion. Um, yeah, man. It's all about good recruiting. But thank you for this late night episode of David Talks Buffs. I'll be back tomorrow for my interview at 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time with Bill Carroll and John Cronenberg here locally. We're going to be doing a lot of shows together. You're coming up in the season, me and John. So y'all have a wonderful evening or whatever part of the day you're watching this. And as always, Sco Buffs.